Welcome to the Debt Doctor podcast, where we deliver the definitive prescription for navigating distressed real estate debt. I'm your host and America's most qualified debt doctor, Bill Bymel. I've spent my career investing in, diagnosing, and reviving thousands of distressed real estate situations. The Debt Doctor prescribes proprietary remedies to help you identify, acquire, and monetize undervalued real estate assets. Each episode gives you insider access to the strategies top cohorts use to transform market volatility into double-digit returns. If you enjoy what you hear today, hit the follow button, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and please share your support with a quick review. You can find me on the web at billbymel.com. Thanks for joining this episode of The Debt Doctor. Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of The Debt Doctor. If you're joining us for the first time or you're a return listener, it means a lot if you click the like and you subscribe and comment on anything that you find useful here. We are having a little coffee with Bill today. This is actually the Nespresso. I'm a big Nespresso fan, not a paid in any way, but there's a special brand out called Nola. It's it's a partnership between Nespresso and Blue Bottle Coffee Company. Nola being New Orleans, right? So it's a chicory flavored coffee. It reminds me, they suggest you actually do it over ice. I've done it both hot and iced. I love it. First of all, I love New Orleans. I love New Orleans coffee. But what that chicory coffee really reminds me of is my dad, growing up, drank chock full of nuts coffee. It's a coffee that still can be found in any store today. It's got this chicory-ish flavor to it. It's really flavorful. I love it. I don't get it anymore because I'm an espresso drinker now. Anyways, Coffees with Bill on the Debt Doctor are meant to skew off the beaten path. Not necessarily talking about real estate, not necessarily talking about debt, really getting into maybe a personal area of my life, a personal topic of interest. So today, we're going to talk about something that has been very dear and important to my success as a businessman, and has also been a overwhelming privilege in my life, and has also been some of the most difficult thing to deal with, and that is partnerships. I had one potential partner who is a limited partner say to me a few years ago, I don't understand why you guys in real estate all want to have partnerships. You all call each other partners. In the real business world, there's no partners. There's a boss, and then there's the people that work. I find that admirable, and I have been a man who have sought out partners my whole life. No matter what business I'm in, I am a believer in team. And for that reason, I have always sought to find people better than me to partner up with in whatever task or category I see. And most of the time, I've been the boss, or the partner in charge, or the general partner. So rarely have I ever had a situation where, I haven't had an authority anyways. But we're going to talk about partnerships today because I am on the cusp of new partnerships all the time. And I have spent most of my career looking for that perfect partner. I've found over my 30-year career in business some amazing partners. I actually still have a few. I have some ex partners, many ex partners that ended successfully. We're still friends today. Um, and I actually am honored to say that probably 98 to 99% of the partnerships I've commandeered or been even a partner in, as long as I've been in control, have been successful. Now, what is success? I will talk, it could be gauged in many ways. For me, though, a successful partnership is one that not only makes money, but it leaves people feeling appreciated, acknowledged. It creates something in the world. You know, there is always that one or two partnerships that just don't work out. Where everything just goes great, like a kind of like when you're a girlfriend or a boyfriend that you're just hot with, just nothing in the world could imagine anything else other than what you guys are going to be together. And then it's all working out until it doesn't. Sometimes it's not about the money or the strategy, or, sometimes it's an identity thing. Unfortunately, ego can get in the way, especially when you're talking about male partners. There's a couple of archetypes I like to identify in the world of the partnerships. And, these are probably commonly, agreed upon. There is the visionary and the operator partner that you think Jobs and Wozniak, the one who dreams, the other one builds. It's amazing when that clicks. There's also the friendship model. Many of us start our first or second or lifetime of partnerships are with a buddy or with somebody that, a pal, a friend from the country club, someone in your office, a fellow lawyer. That is can be hairy because everything's great. Sometimes money can get in the way and stress, then things show up because not every deal works out. Of course, there's the blood bond, right? Family businesses, deep trusts, deep baggage. Thanksgiving dinner sometimes is a board meeting in those. Then there's the money man and the grinder. One puts up the capital, other the sweat equity. That works as long as the expectations are clear, and it can be a total disaster if they're not. More often than not, the grinder has to get his job done and be good at communicating. The money man has to be there, obviously, when the money is necessary. But most people don't even realize where they sit. What is their situation? Are they clear? Is the expectations open? And when those partnerships do fall apart, sometimes it's not performance. Sometimes it is performance, but maybe it's all perception. One partner maybe feels like he's not being heard. The other one feels like he's doing all the work. Nobody wants to admit it. They both overcompensate. I've seen guys with Harvard MBAs blow up partnerships because they couldn't handle being a little honest, a little vulnerable, and giving a little bit up. Especially in today's day and age, it seems like ego rules the roosts. I've also seen guys with nothing but street smarts build empires because they knew who to trust and how to trust. I am a big believer in making decisions quickly, pivoting, and correcting mistakes immediately when you see them. It's okay. The greatest successes come from the most failures. So let's zoom out for a minute and talk about culture. And in a minute, I'm going to quote a book that I recently read. Olawang is the is the author. There's a book called Partnering: Forge Deep Connections That Make Great Things Happen, and the author is Jean Olewang, Oelwang. I hope, Jean, I am doing you justice to your name. If not, I apologize. Sociologists have studied how people handle conflict in teams and in relationships, and teams that argue well actually perform better. Not more, but better. In healthy partnerships, you can disagree with respect. You can debate ideas, not attack identities. I'd never avoid conflict. I've just learned to try to master it. And culturally, most of us are not trained for it. Um, I would say that this is the business that we do. We walk into, at First Lincoln Capital, my company, where we're buying non-performing loans or vacant properties or whatever it might be, we are walking into disagreement, into a world of, where how you treat people actually makes a difference in whether you can turn the tables on a distress situation. So I'm not afraid to have uncomfortable conversations early, to be clear about my expectations, my roles, and the money situation. And I have to say, though, I haven't been perfect at this. I talk to potential partners all the time, and I'm not quite always clear to them what my expectations are. One, because I'm probably a little insecure myself, to be honest, about wanting to share that. So that's one of the things I'm working on. Check your ego at the door, they say, right? I know that I'm not always right. That's one thing I'm pretty good at as a leader. I think most of my staff would agree that I've done a good job of losing my ego at the door in most cases. I always protect my relationships. I'm very, very keen on relationships over revenue, And, you got to look for complementary skills and complementary values. And the bottom line is that if we all have to be honest about who we are and what we can bring to the table in order to, I'm starting to think I'm underselling myself. Anyways, okay, so let me get into these principles in this book about partnerships that I think is spot on. And what I would say is kind of what I've been living by as I start to look at new partnerships and acknowledge and appreciate the ones I have right now or the ones that I'm completing. Shared purpose is number one. Shared purpose, great partnerships are rooted in a common mission that transcends personal gain. If you want to be a partner with me, all 6 of these have to click for us. Great, a shared purpose. We have to have a North Star, something that we're going for. And then that purpose becomes the glue that will bind us together, right? When the times are tough. Deep mutual respect, admiration, and trust for the emotional foundation of an enduring partnership, right? So if you really see each other, not just for your role, but there's values and strengths and things like that. Like I've got a partner in real estate, my commercial real estate business in Florida, Nate Werner. I've been in business with him since early 2000s, to over 20 years. He runs that business. We occasionally do deals together. I'm still a Florida real estate broker. I haven't brokered a deal in probably a decade, directly, that is, but this is a man who I have ultimate deep respect for. We have the same values. He's a good man. And, there's this openness and integrity and longevity in us. So that we'll never not be partners in that business. And his son, Paul, also joined the business. And he is my next, he is now just a full-fledged partner with us. And we all get that together. That's kind of the family bond where we never have a problem, though, at the Thanksgiving dinner. Well, we don't eat Thanksgiving together. Maybe that's why. Number 3 is equity. I say equity and not necessarily equality, right? There's a sense of fairness that underpins any lasting collaboration. Decisions need to be made collaboratively. We all need to be inclusive. And we need to recognize that even if we don't have the same percentages, that there's an equitable understanding as to how the relationship is. Trust is number 4 of 6. It's not just build, it's practice continuously. When you trust someone, you can be honest with them, and that builds resilience under pressure. You know, you can take risks together as partners, knowing that you'll catch each other if you fall. Calculated risks are where the great rewards in business come from. 5 is complementary differences. If there's some way that you benefit each other, one's an operator up all the time, building teams. The other is a visionary out creating new partners or new ventures or new opportunity. Don't try to mirror each other, but celebrate and integrate the differences with equitable respect and trust. But the most important thing for me, and it's probably what I've gone through here, and in the recent times, I've really looked for a long-term commitment. The best partnerships that I've been a part of, I've treated like gardens, nurturing them and pruning them and patiently watering them day by day. Patience and vision, creating a goal, setting it forward, having the vision and the long-term commitment to build something special, something meaningful, not just transactional. Ugh, I hate transactional people. It's not my style. True partners commit to growing together through each other's faults, and even when it's not easy. So, those are the 6 principles that Jean Ullawong, in her book, Partnering Forge Deep Connections That Make Great Things Happen, shared purpose, deep mutual respect, equity, trust, complementary differences, and long-term commitment. So, if you're in a partnership right now, ask yourself, how many of those boxes am I ticking? Are we building trust, respect, and real communication? Or are we just playing nice until everything blows up? And if you're thinking of starting a partnership or getting into something new, obviously go in wide open. When it works, it's just magic. And obviously when it fails, it can be difficult. Some people never recover. Some people aren't that resilient. That's it today for the Debt Doctor. Thanks for listening. This has been a Coffee with Bill about my perception on partnerships. To all of my partners out there, you new ones and old alike, you know who you are. I love you. I thank you for your partnership. Thanks for listening to the Debt Doctor. Please subscribe, we love you, and we'll see you soon. That's a wrap of today's episode of Debt Doctor. I enjoy bringing this content to you each and every week, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Remember to follow us so you get notified whenever new episodes release. If you haven't already done so, please share one of your favorite episodes with a friend, family, or colleagues. And if you don't mind, leave us a positive review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever your favorite listening platform might be. Until next time, thank you for investing your time with us on the Debt Doctor.